Hello everyone. Today will be something different. Perhaps it's the longer mustachios? Or is it that you are looking for GL-1? Well, GL-1 is missing. Wherever GL-1 is, I do not know, and that's where his show went. But today, you are with GL-2, and my show is going to be known as the best and most toys. Now, I'm here enjoying the very best in life. Well, I have my 1,000-foot yacht, the Sea Anomaly, and I have a pipe to look more distinguished. See? What? It's a non-working pipe, but still, I think you get the point. And I am here sipping my blueberry lemonade. Now, my show, because it's the biggest and best, cannot be confined to a table. I must use my yacht for such a show, and I have such a vast collection that I have to keep it in a museum, the Museum of Science and Toys, also known as the Vault. Now, I have buyers that scour the globe looking for things that will tickle my fancy. And after you see today's show, I think you will agree my fancy has been tickled. Right? So, now, the head of the Department of Science and Toys at my museum is Emily Fridgeshivers. Today, the subject will be the unparalleled, preposterously awesome T-Rex. Behind me, we have some examples of the Colossal T-Rex Jurassic Park toys from 2018, and we will be getting into that later. But Emily, Dr. Emily, a veterinarian and top evolutionary scientist, has collated her knowledge pertaining to theropods, or, bipedal carnivorous dinosaurs, or that is, two-legged meat-eating dinosaurs for you, for the proletariat out there. Now, I will be reading to you an essay that she wrote just for this show to give you a little bit of heads up on theropods and the T-Rex. So, here we are. You know, this glaring sun, I have to keep my sunglasses on, but then I can't see what I'm reading, so take these off here. Alright, so T-Rex's tiny arms have been the subject of amusement and curiosity for generations. Here's why the tiny arms likely developed. Four-legged motion has its advantages for defense in groups. And an herbaceous diet, that's eating plants. You know, things like how, elephants will form a circle to protect the young and the weaker elephants, if they're being predated upon, like a lion is attacking them, or a bison or water buffalo, or, some such ungulates and things, will protect themselves, right? Herbivores. But a predator might have an advantage locating prey by being on two legs and seeing over obstacles due to its taller stance. You see, it can peer over grass and things like that. Now, so imagine the predator that is four-legged and can prop up on hind legs, right? Yes, the individuals that can do that more easily have an advantage locating prey, right? So, they get to eat more because they're better at locating prey. And then they are more healthy, and because they are more healthy, they get to breed more. See? So, the offspring of these advantaged hind-legged predators that, can have a better advantage at looking, well, they inherit this trait, you see, because their parents could jumped up on their back legs and peer over things, and thusly were able to eat more. And so their children have the same trick. And you see, through many, many generations, this trait is refined until you have two-legged predators, theropods. You see, so their arms, their front legs become less and less important because their hind legs give them an advantage. You see, so survival is all about the cost of calories. You see, the more efficient individuals and species that adapt well to their environment eat more and expend less energy looking for calories, and that have excess calories to breed. So you see, if you're spending less time looking for food, then when you find the food and then you eat it, it didn't take you as much work, you see? And so then you have more time for leisure or normal biological functions such as breeding, you see? All right, so early theropods would have had longer arms for grasping prey while tearing it apart, you see? But there's a fuzzy math to adaptation. It is cheaper, in calories that is, to have, is it cheaper to have grasping arms or a bigger head for crushing prey? You see? Well, this scenario plays out many times among species or theropods. All right? And many develop tiny arms, the tiny arm, big head design. So why might that be less expensive or cheaper? You see, and evolutionary standards, right? Why might that be the easier route to go? Well, let's examine the arms. You see, the arms can be a liability, you know. They can be bitten and torn off, and then the theropod might bleed to death, you see. There's arteries in the arm, and it's just a mess, right? But there's a greater advantage in having your greatest weapon, okay, in this case mouth, all right, having a bigger mouth and less liability of having arms if you can make it work, right? So if you have thick, quick-turning legs and a heavy tail to balance that big head that is designed for crushing, a very muscular head with large bones, you see, then this may be an advantage. So one body design that shows once that body design shows its advantage over further generations, it will continue to specialize or generalize in order to enhance the consumption of calories that lead to more offspring. So you see, once again, perhaps the advantage of having smaller arms and a bigger bone-crushing head, right, might lead to eating more, being a more efficient predator, and then once again, those traits are passed on. All right? Well, T-Rex didn't have the largest head. It almost did. But it has the most crushing bite by far over any terrestrial animal in history and theropod yet discovered. And we've discovered quite a few theropods, and the T-Rex still, though maybe not the heaviest and the largest, still has the greatest bite. All right? So, the heavy investment, biological investment that is, in building the tissues of massive jaws, muscles and teeth with its skull design were such that T-Rex only had to bite once and the fight was over. See, massive blood loss from bone-crushing specialized teeth coupled with the power to drive those 8-inch teeth deep into bones and blood vessels would likely be fatal from a single bite. So you see, when there's movies where T-Rex bites the neck of another creature and the other creature shakes it off, it's unlikely. The crushing bite of the T-Rex, one bite is probably enough. So you have no arms in the way. You don't have the weight of the arms pulling you down. You don't have the liability of the arms, where they can get bit and you bleed out. But instead, you have a massive, fast-moving, sharp, crushing, and tearing machine. You have this massive head, you see? And it's very efficient. So this, we believe, Dr. Emily Fridgeshivers and I believe this is why the T-Rex has evolved with the large head and the tiniest little arms. I did read, however, one time that those arms, though small, are as large as a large adult's arms, and they can curl 600 pounds, like that. So, though small, quite powerful when they need to be, but probably in relation to all the other dinosaurs, yes, they're quite small, but who needs arms? Just like birds, right? They don't need arms. They just, if you're a predatory bird, like an eagle, as you may have seen in my eagle video some time ago, where we watched bald eagles eat, you see, they simply crush their prey with that 400 foot-pound crushing claw, right? And then they pull it apart with their sharp beaks. And a T-Rex would operate the same way, right? So, we will be moving on with our examination of the vast collection of T-Rex toys next. Alright everyone, I wanted you to see the sign here when dinosaurs ruled the earth and to get a good view of my yacht and the T-Rexes there. So, I am going to start with the non-Jurassic Park T-Rex collection that I have. Alright, so it's a little bit different, but I think you'll agree that it's quite interesting. So, I'm going to start here with the... Take off these glasses here so I can see here. The metal T-Rex from the OWI 371 kit. So if you type that in, actually you can see it. It's from 2011, and it's this fella here. Okay? All right, it has a working mouth, yeah, and little arms that move. And the legs move. And you have to put this apart, you see? And his tail wiggles. And he's made out of aluminum. Alright? So he won't rust. Alright? Another I have here is from a game, a T-Rex, a game called Axe Cop. Alright? So this is from 2009, and he has Gatling machine guns for arms. So if you're going to have tiny arms, why not have machine guns on them? And it's very bright here, occasionally, on my boat, so he has sunglasses. Now, there's a little character, a policeman with an axe that rides on top. I kept the policeman in the package because I'm not interested in him. Every once in a while, I go through, in the catacombs of my museum, I will have, halls and halls of wooden boxes, and occasionally I will see the packaged Axe Cop, but I've forgotten where he is. Right? Another fella I have here, it's quite a good articulated T-Rex, and this is from the Carnegie Museum action figure T-Rex is what it is called, from 1997. So it is 25 years old, Its head goes up and down, its mouth moves, its arms move, its legs move, and it even has a knee joint and, well, some sort of ankle joint here. The thighs move, and it had a rubber tail that had like a metal wire inside, and you could bend it and keep it going in one direction. And he, up until recently, was my most articulated T-Rex. And Schleich, a company called Schleich T-Rex in red. This is 2014. All it does is its mouth moves up and down. Schleich is known for making realistic models. Good texture. It's kind of a rubbery texture, but it's hard. You see the feet are much like a bird's, like a bird of prey. So it has a nice sort of sticky feel to it, but not too sticky. But all it does is have its mouth move. So, oh, what fun, right? Oh, what fun that would be. Oh, look, he hops and he bites. I like things that have more articulation. Now, a treat for you is from the Imperial Toy Company that used to be in Hong Kong, but now China. I remember when I was a small boy, I had a lot of rubber toys, you see? Real rubber, that kind of rubber that smells. Like it smells like, well, rubber. It has a very distinctive, strong odor. And what I had noticed is there were a lot of these rubber toys back when I was a young boy, and then they disappeared for 20 years. And then, around 1990, they started to appear. Oh no, I'm sorry, around 2000, they started to appear again. So they disappeared between 1980 and 2000. Well, it just so happens that this is what happened. Rubber toys were very popular, along with many other things that were made out of rubber, and they overused the rubber trees. It used up all the rubber. So what they had to do was plant new rubber trees and wait 20 years for them to grow up, to then manage them more carefully, to have more rubber for future generations. The Imperial Toy Company was very responsible for this replanting of the rubber trees. So, this is a T-Rex. He has a rubber outer shell, you see? He's nice and rubbery. But, as a treat on the inside, you can pull his feet back, and look, he has like bone feet. But more exciting than that, you can open his belly, and you can see that he has a bony skeleton. So, this, I suppose, you can then learn that, well, he has bones inside, it's just not all rubber. He even has a little bit of some joint inside where you can, you see, move his head, and it slowly moves back to position. So, a little bit of an evolution on the rubber toy. Alright, now, another special treat I have for you from the 2005 King Kong movie. Now remember back at episode 1 where we talked about King Kongs and we talked about the 2005 King Kong. Well, King Kong had some fellas on that island that he didn't get along with so well, and one of them were the V-Rexes. So here's the V-Rex. You see, it's like a T-Rex, but it's got a V instead of a T. You pull this back, and he opens his mouth. Now, he has a button here where you can turn on sound. Oh dear. You can turn on sound. That's crunching and screaming. Now, presumably, the crunching and screaming is done to these fellas here that came with the package. What it is that you buy these sets, right, of V-Rexes and other, fun antagonists for the T-Rex to play with, and you can take these figures and put them into the V-Rex's mouth, and there's crunching and screaming, and then you can open his belly and you can pull out your crunched and eaten fella, you see. But that's not the only V-Rex that came out with that collection. There were these V-Rexes. Now, perhaps one of the most unique toys that one can conceive of. So, it has a winder here, you see? So here's your V-Rex in working order. There's a mouth, you can actually pull a little lever here, and his mouth, well, there you go, open and close. Alright, but if he gets pummeled by King Kong, you push a button here, and he goes limp. You see? He goes limp. So there are strings that secure the limbs and the neck and the tail. But how do we get him back to position? We turn this crank here. It rolls in the little ropes. And now our V-Rex is ready for adventure again. Now, I have two of those in the movie with King Kong. I believe he fought 6 V-Rexes. So now there's 3. And then there was one more that did not have that feature of falling apart. He has a rubber tail, and he has a mouth that you can pull, and it snaps shut like that. So now we have 4 V-Rexes. But I figured what better time than to show you the other roped friends that King Kong can play with. You see, you have a giant crocodile, crocodilian of some sort, okay, on this island, Skull Island, where King Kong lived. And his very fearsome mouth, right, you have a button here, push that down, his tongue comes up, and his mouth can close a little bit. But if he gets pummeled, oh dear, he goes limp, you see. Oh, he's limp. But not to worry, he'll be alright again. You just turn this crank here, and he's ready to play again. So King Kong doesn't have to feel bad about pummeling his friend periodically, because everything will be okay. Not to be outdone, but there's a Velociraptor. He's got the mouth that you open and it snaps shut. But he also has the button. Oh, where he goes limp. And there you are. He was playing with King Kong. King Kong didn't mean to play a little too rough, but he did. And then all you have to do is King Kong can crank this here, and our Velociraptor is right straight away in good condition. So, those are our non-Jurassic Park entries into my museum, the Vault. Alright everybody, we are going to start here with the Jurassic Park collection, right? Because first things are first, and they're first because, well, they are first. So, in 1993, my friend John Hammond opened Jurassic Park on Isla Nublar. Alright? A little bit difficult to say. Well, there was an Isla Nublar Jurassic Park collection of toys, and, well, I didn't collect the T-Rex from that because I didn't like it. So, I waited until the next movie, which was Jurassic Park Lost World, and they came out with T-Rexes then, of which I have 3. Now, the first one here is the Bull T-Rex. Right? This is the Bull T-Rex. He also came in red. Now, the Bull T-Rex came with a fella that was inside a metal container, and you would slip him into his mouth, and he would gobble him up, and then you could pull it out here. You see? It has a belly that opens like that. He's rubbery to feel, and if we can get him to roar. So under here is somewhat unreliable button. Now, this is a nice T-Rex because he's large and he has those kind of eyes that follow you no matter where he looks. And that's nice. But what is a problem is, well, he doesn't stand. You see? Put him like this and he falls over. And you try to stretch his legs out and he kind of will stand, but no, he'll fall over. So sometimes what I do is I have a wooden platform and I secure his feet in there, and what I do is I use little nails between the toes to hold his legs out wide enough, and then I use those clear rubber bands to hold his feet onto the rubber platform, and then he will stand. But the way it is, the way he was designed, he always had a problem standing. Now, one of my favorite T-Rexes is the Real Feel 1997 Thrasher T-Rex. Now he is the JP29, whereas the bull is the JP28. Now, he also has a real feel, but he has a frame inside of him. So he is squishy. This one does not have a frame inside. The bull does not. But he has a frame like bones, and his legs are hard, and he can stand a little bit. He needs a little more weight in his tail, but you can get him to stand like that. And, you know, he has moving arms. He has two features. If you move his tail, his head moves in the opposite direction. You see? Just like a real T-Rex would. And if you pull his mouth open, it clicks open, and you see his tongue is in roaring position. And if you push on his tongue, it's like a trigger, and his mouth comes down 1/8 of an inch with his large teeth to bite. So I think he's a great looking T-Rex. I love the way he's a little squishy, you know, and that he will stand under some conditions, you see, like that. Well, and also what they came out with, and this was a very difficult to find, is the Motorized Roaring Stomping T-Rex. Now, this is from The Lost World, which is the second movie, which came out in '97, and the battery compartment in the back quit working. So, I had one of my engineers go to Radio Shack when Radio Shack was in business and pick up one of these little battery cases and wire it in, solder the wires in, and if I remember correctly, this ran on 3 AA's, this runs on 4. We added another AA to see if it would work better, and with a lot of modern toys, don't do that. They cannot handle the extra voltage and things will burn up. But older toys had a little bit more resistance. They had larger resistors and capacitors that could handle the extra voltage. So sometimes you could do that and make a toy work better. And actually we would demonstrate that coming up soon with radio-controlled vehicles. So here we are. You push the button here. And he roars. And then the other button, he's on glass, so, but he will walk, and you can hear his thunderous footsteps shaking glasses of water. And then he roars at you. So there you are. That is the early Jurassic Park T-Rex collection. Moving on. Alright, so moving ahead with our Jurassic Park collection, we have the 2001 Mini T-Rex and Mini Spinosaur. Alright, so there you are. You can have your epic battle on a tiny scale. They don't have any articulation. Their mouths don't close or anything like that, but you know, you can just pretend and move them around. Right? So, what else we have here is our 2015 Chomping Jaws T-Rex. Now, I remember when this one came out, I was very excited. I'm like, oh, good, something new. His arms move a little bit, and I like that his mouth was closed, and you push the button, and then it opens and closes, so he's chomping. Problem with this T-Rex? Well, he falls over all the time. You can move his legs a little bit, but it just doesn't have wide enough of a gait, so he tends to fall sideways or even fall forward. I have tried, actually, putting him in hot water and then using, while the plastic is hot, kind of pulling it out to give him a little bit of a better stance. That did help, but after a few seconds he still does fall and knock the other dinosaurs over, so he is staying like that. Now, then they came out with this one. Now this is the Jurassic World Stomping Schleich T-Rex, and you'll notice that I painted some battle damage on him. You see, because his neck is rubber, while his body is hard plastic. But the rubber started to rip, alright, just through aging. So I thought, well, let me make those tears look like they're meant to be there, and then I added some other paint there as well. Now, this one here, when you move him like that, he stomps, and when you move him in his gait, move his legs, his mouth opens, his head turns slightly, and he makes roaring, chomping noises. I also painted his teeth as if he was eating. He won't stand well on his own either, so I added this clear plastic rubber band to help him stand. Alright. But then they improved this, and they came out in 2017 with the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Extra Chomping. He does extra chomping. Now, what I like about this one, his legs have some lateral movement. That was a new feature. His feet could move as well, give him better balance. And he had a button here for stomping. And his head articulation from his tail, and if you pump it down, you can make his mouth chomp. Make him really open up and roar. Quite a few features. You can snap his jaws shut. And you know, as we were talking about, that snapping the jaws shut is very bad news for other dinosaurs. And here we have the Jurassic Park Mashes 2015. I have, I believe, perhaps the entire collection of Mashes. You can look these up by Hasbro, 2015 Mashes. They're quite expensive now. I got them on clearance, as I do many things, and it's got good articulation. You can move it in all kinds of directions. It has knees, hips, and it can move its arms around. You can change the tail. You can add pieces onto it. You can add like spikes onto him, and you can change the legs, even change the head, and then for some reason he spits out like a fire, a yellow fire. It's a human activated shooting, I don't know, loogie perhaps, because it's yellow, I don't know. But anyway, that is the Masher T-Rex, and if he can be eating some steak, if he's hungry, you can have him eat the steak. So that is moving forward, and we will continue to move forward. Alright, so yes, I know it's getting late, but there are still some more T-Rexes to go, but we're getting to the end. So, with the Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World movies, there are some better and better T-Rexes that came out. So, we have the 2018 Thrash and Throw T-Rex. So, that's this big fella here, and he has two buttons on his back. One where he can thrash you with his tail, you see? And the other, he has a button up here on his upper back. You push that down, and he can grab you and throw you. Now, getting this to work with toys, right? Getting him to, I don't know, does he grab the toy here and throw it? Probably, right? Very difficult to time and articulate. You might have to actually hold the toy in his mouth, let go, and then let go of the button, and then he will sort of drop it right there. And you don't want to use a small toy, so if you get any chance of having any momentum. But what I like about him is, well, I think he's good looking. He's large, and he has the articulation in his feet and his hips and his legs, and he has a more unique color. He's browner, and I like the way his mouth is always open instead of always closed. So that makes him a little bit unique. Also, during this time, there was a, 2018 battle damage T-Rex. So that's this guy here. Now, he's a little smaller, you see, than the Thrash and Throw. And, well, his feature is that he is battle damaged. But he does have a button here on the top of his head, and this one's a little difficult to push, but it opens his mouth, and he's really yelling, and his tongue is wagging as he's yelling. And so for some, there we go. It's very hard to push the button on this particular one. I have another one that has the same feature and it's easier to push. So it's just, just happens to be this particular one. His tail articulates around. He's got the ankle movement, the lateral hips, and the movement of the legs. And he's just nice looking. And what I really like is that he can turn his head quite significantly. You see? And the materials now, they're not that rubber that might break after a while, like that other one where it wore out and started to crack. So I think that's an improvement. During the time of, sometime within the past couple of years, they have given us this, a replica skull of a T-Rex to go with, I believe it came with a Camp Cretaceous T-Rex. And Camp Cretaceous is an animated series on Netflix. I believe we're on season 5 now. And a lot of interesting dinosaurs are coming out of that, a lot of good toys coming out of that, which my buyers, of course, will find at a reasonable price and put into my collection. So I like that because you can then compare it to the skull of the T-Rex here. Yeah, you can get a good look at it. So that's kind of nice. Now, they came out with a mother, I can only assume, or perhaps father, I suppose, hanging out with young T-Rex, alright? And this one doesn't have battle damage, and obviously it's green. And it does have the same feature where you push, you see, it's much easier for me to push. And the tongue does not go up as high there, you see? There's the other one. Regard here. I can get this to open again. See, right there in the middle. So, but same feature, different tongue. They just try something different each time. And, he's a little rubbery articulated arms, and they're flexible. And he has the tail that moves in all directions, he or she, and the head that moves very well in all directions. And with Junior here, you bend the tail, push it down, and the jaws close. And the arms articulate, and the legs also can move back and forth. And they even have lateral movement. So quite a well-articulated small Juvenile T-Rex. But if you think that's our only Juvenile T-Rex, you'd be mistaken. They also came out with Camp Cretaceous battle-damaged T-Rex. Extreme damage T-Rex. Now, extreme damage T-Rex, let's see. Let's try to find where this one came. Here we are. 2021. Yes. And has a button here. When you push the button, he's got boo-boo scratches on his sides. You see? There you are. And this one, what's nice is you can position the mouth where you want it, open or closed or midway. And that's all unique feature where you get to decide what the mouth is doing. and has the same articulated rubber arms and legs. And if you don't like to play with him where he's wounded, you can just leave him like that. I don't like to have my dinosaurs get wounded. That is why I did not get the 1993 T-Rex, because it came with a chunk taken out of it and you could see its ribs and muscles, and I simply didn't like that, so I didn't buy it. As a curator of a museum, you must decide what kind of museum you wish to have, and if you don't want something, then you don't have to get it. You don't have to get everything just to have everything, even though as GL-2 and pretty much having everything, I pretty much have everything, but I don't have to have everything. That's a conundrum of a paragraph. Alright, so this one, I forgot where this came from. So I was looking at him and I go, oh, I like this fella. He's got the same snapping mouth, but you see the tongue does not come into the middle. He's brown, he's a darker color, he has no wounds on him, same articulation as before. And then I remembered, well, he came with the Jurassic Park SUV. Ford Explorer, actually. And I placed inside the original cast Dr. Grant, see, Dr. Ellie, and the kids, and Dr. Malcolm in the back there. And the boy even has the heavy binoculars that he didn't want to put down. And you can push on this, and this scrunches as it was in the movie where the T-Rex was pushing down on that and that was scrunching. Right? And that is this segment of the collection, and I will be getting some more, and I will show you what's coming up next, because we are reaching the end rapidly now. There, and now I'm back. Now, before moving on to the smaller ones, I'm going to go over these large T-Rexes I have here behind me. And you see this one, there's a little bit of a story about these two fellas. So, this one here, whoops, has no battle damage. This is the first one to come out. I remember when I saw him, $59.99, and I thought, wow, is that colossal? Well, it's the Colossal T-Rex. And I noticed that his mouth moved in two different directions, his head does not turn, his arms move, and his legs move back and forth, and his feet also can swivel, and the tail moves. And I thought, well, that's just crap. Does he roar? No, he does not roar. All right. He doesn't have any battle damage. All right, $60. I was satisfied with that. And I thought, all right, that's grand. Well, shortly thereafter, within the return period, this came out. So, now, I think I've made clear my penchant for not really wanting battle damage. It had all the same features as the other, was $5 less, and would roar. Not only that, but he could eat things, and he had a belly that you could open when he got a belly full, and you could pull the figures out. So, for $5 less, I returned the other one, and then I purchased this one. Oh, also, their eyes are different. This one has yellow eyes, this one has green eyes, you see? Now this one also, he can eat things in his belly open. No roar, so I was disappointed. Well, why do I have it? Well, recently one of my buyers found this in a little hovel of a second-hand store and purchased it for $10. So, now I have that, and I'm very happy about that. I did not have to pay the full price, as GL-2's should really never have to pay the full price. And now I have both of them to show. I'm almost done. Now, one of my favorite T-Rexes, all right, is a Jurassic Camp Cretaceous Primal Attack 2020. And this one, you can move his head all around, swivel it, up and down. And greatest of all, there's a button here. He roars and shakes his head. And the tongue is rubbery. Now, I showed this T-Rex to Mrs. 2, my wife, and she thought it was quite cute. And because of the wiggling tongue. So I thought that was grand. And more recently, there was the Sound Surge T-Rex that is available with its Gigantosaurus companion at Kohl's. You can buy a 2-pack for $24.99, or I think you have to order it online, or Big Bad Toy Store. You can buy them separately for $16.99. And the mouth opens and will stay open. It's a little bit of the more archaic T-Rex design in that the neck has more of a bulge. So if you go to dinosaur books and look at pictures, the head has more of a curve here, and it has a button here. Makes some nice roaring sounds. Three different sounds. Now, when you purchase this, he does not come with painted nails, white teeth, or red inside the mouth. So, no, actually, the teeth were white on the outside, but I painted the inside as well. And so I wanted to give him more detail. All right, so that's your Sound Surge T-Rex. And you might be asking yourself, well, GL-2. You have all these T-Rexes. It's a bit of a ridiculous amount of T-Rexes, and I'd agree with you. I have a large museum and I have to fill it. But even I would sometimes ponder and say, why spend all this money on substandard T-Rexes? Why don't they just make one that has many features and articulations, just looks fantastic, and then I would spend an exorbitant amount of money on that, and I will never have to buy another T-Rex again. Well, a week later, they did release one. But before I get to that, let me show you this from the Hammond collection. A Juvenile T-Rex with excellent articulation. It comes with a stand, see? And his mouth opens and closes, his head turns and goes up and down. He has elbows and shoulders, and his hands can swivel. The same thing with his feet, the knees, the ankles, feet swivel, and his hips go back and forth, and the tail moves all around. Quite nice. But better than that is this one here. For $49.99 at Target, you can get the greatest T-Rex yet. The eyes are the kind of glass eyes that follow you wherever you look. The mouth has a ratchet and can stay in position where you put it. The tongue, soft rubber, and you can even articulate where the tongue is. Hand swiveling and moving hand joints, elbows, shoulders, neck, a good quality rubber here on the neck. He has a joint in his middle torso, lateral hip motion, knees, double jointed knees, we like that, ankles, and I guess the second ankle, he's got 2 joints in the tail, and it can turn and swivel. And what's great about this is you can really articulate this to look just like the end of the Jurassic Park movie and have the ribbon when the dinosaurs ruled the earth. Now, those of you that are T-Rex Jurassic Park toy experts may be wondering, GL2, you don't have everything that's cool. There's something else out there. Well, I can tell you this. It's on order. It's coming. It's a special T-Rex collection from the San Diego Toy Fair. I had to wait and wait. Even I had to wait. And then I had to have my buyer put down the money at the right time as soon as it went on sale. It's the $80 set that comes with the similarly articulated T-Rex, though darker, and with raindrops on him. And it comes with the fellow, the lawyer that had the misfortune of finding himself in the restroom while the T-Rex was, well, you know, interested in what he was doing while he was inside the lavatory. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is GL2 with, you know, your new toy show, the best and most toys, as you can see, from my yacht, and I will be getting back to the fine, fine weather. You know, my yacht actually is so large, it really makes its own weather. So, alright, I will be seeing you again soon, and, you know, I'm not happy with that which happened where GL1 escaped. And we're going to have to deal with that and find him, aren't we? Because we are very concerned about what happened to GL1. Have a good night.